Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to another recording of LEGO DC Supervillains. So I got a little ahead of myself in the last recording and thought we were going to be close to being done, but I had forgotten we haven't even done the Apocalypse section of the open world. So there's actually quite a lot still to be done, on top of which there's still stuff on Earth, and it does seem like there's just a fairly linear list of things that unlock. So I'll do one race or one quest, and that tends to lead toward something else unlocking, or at least there being a small chance of something that's unlocking. That being said, there's a decent chance, I think, of still getting everything done on Earth. We can just figure out what we need to do.
Give me a hand with this? Don't worry. The owner. Promise. Just wants me to move some stuff.
Okay, so this guy wants us to break in that area, but there's really just no indication that you were supposed to have broken that one dumpster, which is not any real different than in any of the other dumpsters. It would have made a lot of sense for him to say that there was something in the dumpster. Now we need to switch to the Joker.
I can't see what I'm looking for in this locker. Maybe the next one over.
I didn't realize there was going to be
We need to find
a conversation.
Other locker. Any ideas?
Yeah.
Did you do that?
This is probably a slightly better way for the puzzle to work, in that it seems to me like there's probably only two things you have to deal with. Although, kind of seems like I need a third character to break the glass. It's pushing me to the Joker. Oh. Well, that's weird. To use the chattering jaw to collect the gold brick. That's just not how things have worked in the past. And let's see, we've got a boat race over here, so let's see. Can we do any kind of boat? I think we can. Not like there's that many choices, though. Yeah, your best bet is to just have the speedboat be your boat. The reason being, speedboat will be small enough. Very few of these races have been successful on the first try, and one of the things you could have done to fix that, certainly, is you could have shown the entire race as a flyover animation before it actually started, or at least give a partial top view of the race. Like, these really should not be surprises. Like, even a jump like that, while cool as a surprise, doesn't really need to be a surprise.
I did it!
And that brought me back to this location where the character customizer is. In Metropolis. And I can pretty much just fly towards any triangle now, and it will be a triangle that's in Gotham.
Hey, you, come over here. I need two people to help set up the best prank ever. See that signal over there? I'm gonna mess with it real good. But first, I need to find a way to spin it around. See if you can find anything nearby that'll help.
So we have a Lego bat signal on top of the police station. Interesting. You can spin that, but I think that's just gonna partially power it. We can build this.
Right. Looking good. Now that it's facing the right way, we gotta get rid of that stupid bad design.
So we then psychically replace the bat symbol.
How'd you do that?
And add
Never mind. Explain later.
the ha 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 symbol.
Not too fast now. I created a masterpiece here.
Yep.
Better than
Again, we have no lip flap really matching what he's saying.
Have this for helping me out. And let's keep that joke between us, all right?
It's almost like they intentionally only made faces that were available for purchase from the minifigs, because, yeah, obviously minifigs aren't going to have the slight differences between a slightly open mouth and a slightly closed mouth, and then the amount of frames you would like in between those two. There's just going to be maybe 5 or 6 at most types of faces for every type of minifig head that you make. And as far as minifig heads, at best they're going to have 2 face, usually a kind of smirking face or angry face, and then one that's just more of a generic smiling face. And you only get 2 faces on minifigs if they have a hairpiece that's going to cover up the back of their head to cover up the other face. Otherwise you only get 1 facial expression, which they make very generic. There's just not really a lot of room for personalization there.
This island is good for fishing, is it not?
Although they have experimented quite a bit more with adding characters with like vitiligo and different types of nationalities and genders as far as faces, compared to the yellow heads of old that they used to make, that were just very generic smiling faces. The Lego foosball set in particular is, I think, rather, while it's an expensive set, it does a really, really good job of giving you a wide variety of different types of facial expressions and faces. In fact, if anything, it arguably does too good of a job, because it gives you twice as many heads as where am I supposed to go after this? It gives you twice as many heads as bodies, so if you buy the set, you then have extra heads that you're highly unlikely to be able to use. And it is somewhat weird that LEGO doesn't really sell spare bodies or spare heads. They have some like special character minifig series, but those are fairly unique. This race is messed up quite a bit here, in that clearly the vast majority of this is for a speedster or somebody running, not for somebody with a gliding ability. We have to get this done before 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Get gold. We've got 6 more to go, and we've ended up back on Batman's Bruce Wayne Manor Island. I'm not sure which way I'm supposed to go, so we have only a few more seconds.
Shoot it, shoot it. Perhaps this hidden magical property.
While we're on here, let's look for more bats. Bothersome Bats challenge. And then do this race. If the idea was to lock specific challenges behind other challenges, they didn't really do the greatest of job of locking races behind other races or behind other things. So it has just very naturally come to a point where I was left with races and nothing else. A few gold bricks, a few other challenges. It's probably not worth the time to just randomly look for the bats though. Let's just see what it says. Maybe Master Bruce hired a window cleaner, his plants would do better and it wouldn't be so dark in there. At least it's not hanging from the front door, he's already left too many clues. Why hang from a tree when there's perfectly good cave just mere feet away? And so close to the old family memorial too. Alright, so let's live with that one first. That's 3. I can see one of them there. One there. And then window cleaner plant. There we go. That reminds me, the gates could do with the new lick of brooding black. Poor little thing will be roasted by the Batmobile if it doesn't get out of the tunnel. It can get lonely down in the cave. He probably just wanted a friend, a large scientifically inaccurate Cretaceous era friend. Even bats like to visit the beach, I suppose. As far as prizes found at the end of the hedge maze go, that it's not the best. Okay. So, I think that gives me a general idea. There's one. Where is it hiding? The hints aren't particularly the greatest when it just says the gates. And the problem is, with any game, you're going to have a high chance of a hint just telling you a general area and still have a decent amount of trouble figuring out where the specific collectible thing is. And then the game just turns into a hidden object game. It would be nicer if there was some kind of radar or something. Let's go around the perimeter and see if maybe there's a different gate somewhere. Doesn't feel like there'd be a different gate. So I'd imagine it is somewhere between this point and this edge here. It might be in a tree. Just don't see anything. Alright, well, let's go and check out. Guess we could approach the gates and see if we see anything further away. Some of these challenges definitely feel like there's always just going to be one thing that's not as well written. You see, there's no other gates on this road. There should be one in the cave here. There should be one near the dinosaur. Old Jurassic Park style dinosaurs. Like, I can hear the sound of a bat, even. Man, these jumps are awful. I was trying to see if getting on top of this Batmobile, which it's not really the Batmobile I'd prefer to drive. I was wondering if getting on top of that may have let me actually press the Y button and drive it. So it may be that the bat is more generally somewhere in this area. There it is. And then beach. Which beach are they talking about? I guess there's possibly only one beach here, way in the backside. And I guess if you wanted to climb all the way up, you would do it from that spot. That's quite the climb. You would have expected there to be a race And this is an interesting thing. Here, the bat is here, but when we fly away this far, it's not spawned in. And it's not until you walk a little bit closer that it spawns in. Which that creates a real problem with trying to fly around and find the last bat, in that I would have to be fairly close to where it is for it to even spawn in. Otherwise I could fly right next to it from a further distance and not even see it. It might just benefit me more to keep an ear out for a bat squeaking sound effect that is particularly prominent. Even though I'm hearing the little sound effects of what sounds like bats on top of the rain already. Okay. Let's check the challenge again, because I'm not hearing a bat. That reminds me, the gates could do with a new lick of brooding black. So just gonna walk slowly and see if we can hear a squeaking, bat squeaking. What could the gates otherwise refer to, or is there a place where... Oh, here's another pair of gates. Okay, I'm standing right here. I see the bat. I don't hear the bat. Still not hearing it. Still not hearing it. I'm right under it. Still not hearing it. So if this was supposed to be an audio puzzle, you'd have to be really close. Like I'm right next to it. Yeah. Right next to it, still not making a sound. So it's not one of those kinds of puzzles. It probably should be a puzzle like that where the sound effect would have helped you. And I only slightly want to do these kinds of races and challenges legitimately. Clearly, Arkham Arkham City basically had the exact same ideas, because there's also flying and gliding through rings in that game, and those were so incredibly challenging and tight that I didn't get all of them done, and didn't really care that I didn't get them done by the end. These are much more simpler, but it is all the same idea, and it is an idea that doesn't quite make the most sense for Batman or any DC supervillain or any DC hero to really do. But I wouldn't harp too much on the fact that there's just some nonsense activities in a Lego game. As long as it's entertaining, that's what it's going to come down to. If it's not entertaining, nonsense activities, that's where the problem will happen. So I have to come all the way down to the ground and over here so I can do a light beam try and hit this. Which that's not working. So let's just go fly into it.
What do you mean you can't drive? I mean I can't ride. I can't deal with this right now. We need to get out of here.
It's another race. Somewhere up here, I guess. This is one we haven't done yet. Right. And we'll just continue cycling between Kite Man, and then the second Kite Man loses momentum, we'll swap to Black Adam, who can just fly. The fact that you have enough time to do this, the fact that switching the character doesn't force you to reset, is really a testament to potentially even the developers of this game never actually being able to accomplish their own challenges. But yeah, I could definitely see a level of polish here where you could have a better experience as a kids game where the kids succeed the way it seems they're intended to succeed and feel empowered and good in the fact that they did do a good job on the challenge instead of having to cheat, which is a decent argument to not call cheats cheats in video games, in Lego games, and to perhaps not focus on the idea of having cheats in video games for kids. Okay. This is the Talon T show, as aka talent show.
Chinatown place to go if you want to seek out criminal treasure. It helps if you can run fast though. Safer.
So, is this supposed to be a Talon? This looks a lot more like a Talon than the Ninja Frozen characters we saw in the Arkham area. It's still not particularly as interesting. I feel like the Talon is in a lot more brown leather in their outfits.
Swiftly, not a moment to lose. Get into your appointed attire. I don't usually have to explain what those are, but feeling generous.
Okay. So this is another create a custom character event. Just trying to get the B prompt to pull this lever, and I'm struggling to get that far. It would make more sense if these doors were just unlocked permanently. You don't have to purchase these custom character elements either. That would kind of make sense if you did. So, we'll make another custom character. This is the first time where we've had challenges that really forced you to make custom characters. And it helps you do it correctly by shaking everything around. Now, this is a League of Shadows helmet. Okay. So body, preset body. There's a lot of custom prints for Lego for each of these characters, and we can see there's actually still a lot locked that I imagine these things just unlock. Like, it doesn't tell you how to unlock them, but I assume it's when you purchase a character with that preset body. And frankly, it's just too much. Do we need to do anything else? No. When you make a custom character, you're not going to be able to fly, so then it comes down to the question of how can you fast travel to an area. If you fast travel that far, then you're going to have to run the rest of the way. So, just wandering around, moving at a fairly slow pace.
A little rough.
Definitely not going into deep story around the towns and the Court of Owls.
I'll refrain from attempting jokes. The Court of Owls is in session. You know what must be done, correct? No more words. Get into your talent suit. We must take Gotham back from the Wayne family.
So there's something more to it. He's running with his arms backwards, like a Naruto character. Which
drive him crazy. Allow Court of Owls complete control of Gotham. Got it. How do we get it shut down? That's a good question, talent.
Which way did he go?
All we need to do is spoil the restaurant's by any means necessary.
It's worth mentioning, as far as the Naruto first anime show, of which most of it is filler and not worth watching, after pretty much the first 30 episodes or so. I guess I have to swap to the Joker at this point. They actually don't run with their arms behind as much as you would think. They do it, but it is hardly a thing that happens even once every 10 episodes. And there's actually a whole arc where you have a race happening and a non-ninja guy, or less of a ninja character, runs very normally with his arms swinging back and forth. Of course, it still is very ridiculous that they do, on occasion, run with their arms back behind them.
With Wayne out of business, the Court of Owls will be able to rule from the shadows. Good work, partner. You may have made some rookie mistakes, but two talents are always better than one. Wonderful party. Perfect town who has everything. How about just my socks?
In all fairness, though, as far as something that fans of Naruto can emulate, running with your arms behind you on a playground is not that terrible. Whereas, like, kids just emulating punching and kicking from Power Rangers. It's interesting, he has an owl character with him, and the owl allows him to glide. Talon, no real name, although I guess in this case they are specifically focusing in on the Talon William Cobb. There would have been multiple Talons over the decades, if I recall correctly. As a young circus performer, it seems like half the characters in Batman universe were circus performers. William Cobb fell in love with a girl called Amelia, but a class divide kept them from seeing each other. Heartbroken, William became Italian for the Court of Owls, a shady organization intent on ruling over Gotham and destroying the Wayne family legacy. His first appearance was in Batman #2 in 2011. This would be New 52 reboot as a character. Alright, next. Let's see.
I'm not an evil thing. All I want to do is sing.
So this may not be Mad Hatter, and this looks like this is just a rhythm minigame.
I used to be a heister, but then I chose to go my ways. I must now quit. So please bring me some singers, experts, not mere beginners, and with their help I'll stop them. I swear upon my harmonious breath. You accept that quest now, provide me the best.
This definitely feels like another weird Flash character. I think particularly Flash villains are weird and more joke characters.
My mother always told me I had a great voice. Now I finally got my chance after all these years of hard work doing nothing related to the music industry.
So we've collected this guy, but there's kind of no way down from here for him. His AI pathfinding can't find a way, and he's not willing to just jump, although he seemed to teleport when I wasn't looking. And even if I was having to get up here, I don't know how I would actually get to the top of this building or back down. Definitely feels like there would have been potentially a race or a parkour challenge where you would have run up these buildings around in a circle a couple times. But there's a real awkwardness and weirdness on how this is completely set up. Like, if you were trying to, I guess, get everything in the open world before you unlock the Black Bolt, which is to say before like the third or fourth mission in the entire story, you would really struggle around that. But as soon as you had Black Bolt, you could fly, and that drastically makes everything easier.
I think for years that I should give up my job on a whim. This seems like the opportunity.
This is interesting. I haven't been here before. And yet, this is just gold. And I don't need studs. Wouldn't it make a lot more sense for there to be a gold brick in there? Well, I swear we've never gotten any gold brick from that point. They probably just intended for a gold brick to be there, and then they stopped at a nice round number of places where they put gold bricks. That being said, there's definitely some other places where you could have removed one gold brick and use that place as a more interesting spot to collect one. Particularly when you're talking like redundant locations like this clock tower, which is just like the first level. Or, you know, worst case scenario, what you could have done is had the lady locked in the safe and made it more challenging. I don't understand where this character is supposed to be. I guess it's saying lower, not higher. I'm going the wrong direction. So where are you hiding? There he is.
Oh boy! The music meister! I'm in.
And it's weird to have this church here. It's not particularly too weird to have two churches in Gotham, but when you have Gotham being comprised of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 buildings, it is weird for there to be a church here and a church here, or cathedral here, cathedral there. Even in Arkham City, there was only one main cathedral area. Have I collected all the singers? Looks like I have. Guess it's important to also mention again, and we should have mentioned this at the beginning, that we still have the brightness jacked up really high at 75%. It still looks better than being in the dark, at least to my eyes.
But wait, they look so strong. A thought has just occurred. To ignore would be absurd. While they're all still confused, I suppose they could be. Yes, go my underlings. Listen to the words your master sings. My voice is tipping, not a tool. They've turned you all into my goose.
That's a weird way to have like backup singing.
I'm afraid I could not resist. But thank you kindly for the assist. These
Now, why did we have the conversation without the background art, and now we're having a conversation with the background art? And at a certain point, that really brings about an interesting point, that there's obviously some subtitles that they've designed to show to everybody, and then there's other subtitles they didn't design to show to everybody. And so it seems like, once again, two different teams made two different halves of the subtitles in this game, even back to back. Like, clearly all the subtitles should be something like this. Now, I might argue that if you squished the notebook backgrounds to half the height and stretched it to fit more of the bottom of the screen, that probably would work fine. Even if you were just trying to frame the entire game into a 720p frame, and then there's just nothing on the left and right when you go to 1080p, which is what this shot in particular seems to indicate, you still would have more room for text to even fit into a 720p resolution. And even on the Nintendo Switch, you're not going to get to a resolution that's lower than that. So Music Meister, let's see where he's from. His abilities probably are somewhat weird. Sonar, bolts, photo mode, and acrobatics. Let's see. Teased for being in the school choir, this melodious mischief maker discovered that his singing voice had a strange hypnotic effect over others. Using his new ability, he got over even with bullies, but years later decided to settle the score with the entire world as an arch criminal, the Music Meister. And he showed up in Batman the Brave and the Bold in 2012. I could be wrong about this, but I suspect the Brave and the Bold is heavily inspired by Batman the Animated Series. Now we have plants that we can manipulate, and these plants were not here before.
I've got best to figure out how to use this.
It's probably a large statement of an inability to pivot and evolve, in the fact that there really isn't, they didn't make a Batman animated series inspired comic until like years later, probably decades later. I think they probably got a little bit better trying to make more Teen Titans Go style comics when Teen Titans Go was at the height of its popularity. Interesting.
Almost worthy of my time and attention.
Hey, buddy.
There's another one you can manipulate over here.
No.
That's just going to give you studs. Okay, that leaves us with this and this. So, looks like one more race, one more figure to collect, and then we've got a lot of challenges on Earth still to see if we can figure out. One of the cool parts of Batman the Animated Series is that it was animated on black paper, so it had a very dark background visual aesthetic to it, and it was animated in a much more traditional way than anything that would have been made nowadays.
This has hidden magical properties.
There's only 3 more file folders, and those may all be on Apocalypse, so we should consider checking that out. Because Batman the Animated Series was animated in such a fashion, a remastered version or the only available version of the DVDs is probably the best way to watch something like that, just because you're going to have a higher contrast ratio on a DVD or Blu-ray than what you would get potentially on a streaming service or a TV show, cable or satellite TV in particular, would potentially make it less visible. Let's see. Fire pit processing energy plant. I've left my report's findings in your green control screen. Alright, so the last 3 files are in Apocalypse. I mean, I'm fairly certain this is an Apocalypse, this is an Apocalypse. Fashion Sense, Chinatown Gardens, even the cable car stations got great style. Police uniforms are really improving, even their statues look cool. Statues facing Metropolis Hotel are just stunning. Le Marvin Bistro, such a classy joint. Lex always has been a trendsetter. Okay. let's do all of those then. And I didn't actually look at Black Canary as far as when she's from, so we'll go back and look at that later. Guardians. So you've got gargoyles. You already hit this one. So why is it back? So looking for some kind of statue that you could have put a bow tie on, that would have a bow tie on it. If it's a guardian, that would imply to me it's likely somewhere near the gates and not on the inside. Do we see any guardians down
If the flesh is wearing headphones, and then move fast.
That Lexogram out really taking off, huh?
an information sign? Interesting to have like a custom, highly detailed information sign. Let's go a little bit higher up. Come over here. There's a guardian over here and a guardian over there, or you might call those guardians.
If you see Mr. Luke, tell him to call me.
Okay, that's one. I'm gonna assume that's the one that I was supposed to have found. And then should be a statue of the Gotham Police somewhere around here. We also should do that race. But these are like guardians, these are not police statues. From, at least that's not what I would expect a police statue to look like. So it's possible that there is a police statue somewhere else, not at the police station. How would you find it? I don't know. You can go up higher and see if maybe there's some kind of police statue around here. Very possibly it might pay to be fairly flippant. Yeah, there's a statue there. Yeah. Next one, Lex always had such style. Yeah. There's Lex statues all over the place.
Driver.
Here it is. Then I think the bistro is here. So that may have been the bow tie facing the bistro, and not the hint that said Lex always had such great style.
I'd probably go dig it up, but that place is full of danger.
Let's just keep on going upwards. It does feel fairly grindy in this last few actions, and definitely some of these things are just not likely to be found if you're running around just playing the game normally. You would have to use the hints. You would have to hunt them down. I'm trying to not rely super heavy on the hints, but it's obviously more efficient to do it. Even the cable car station's got great style. Statue facing Metropolis Hotel is just stunning. Lane Marvin Bistro. Okay, so that was the Lex is already got such style challenge, which means Bistro does have somebody with a bow tie. And almost certainly it's not on the inside here. That's how the table didn't respawn and yet the character did. That's an interesting decision, certainly, to respawn the characters and not respawn the tables. Why not just not respawn the characters? Take a step back. And I would question if the steelworks down below here is the real hint. Yep, there it is. So we got two more. Which one of these is the hotel? Blake House. Guess maybe that's the hotel. Right. So then that means last thing is the cable car. Cable car station's got style. Which means it could be the Metropolis cable car station, or it could be the Gotham cable car station. I think I would lean more towards the Metropolis station. But we would have to see some statues here. Seems like almost every one of these bow tie challenges is around a statue. Yep, there it is. And the exit of the cable car station is just a Lego minifig head. Interesting. You really wouldn't see that unless you're actually looking for it. go see if we can get this race to work. And again, we tried this race before and then the car didn't respawn because you have to use this police vehicle. And so if it doesn't work, I'm going to just turn into a speedster and see if I can run the rest of the race that way. This is a particularly difficult race because of this first gate. But it doesn't get much better in that they've basically spawned cars or allowed cars to spawn in random locations. Ooh, darn it. You do need to be in a vehicle. Try that again. Am I just driving incredibly badly here? You can see how the cars are randomly spawning. It's not like they scripted that one car would be in your way at a specific spot. So you are 100% at the whim of random spawns as to whether you can do this race, which just highlights how all the races are not polished enough to really be an element in this game. I can't spawn another vehicle even if I wanted to, and now this vehicle's in the way. Let's see. Let's see if that's good enough to start a race on. Not even getting the B button to start. So I need a specific CCP D car. Maybe this is good enough. Turn tight here, turn fairly wide here, and then from that point start to try and gain some momentum without running into too many things or getting into a cycle where There are cars in the way. Clearly, if you don't have something crashing into you, we can do this a lot better. See, that's weird. There's this like circle here that seems to not be connected in any way. And it's pushing you towards hitting that circle. So that has to just be like a glitch. So just reset again. And they just spawn a car right in the way. Noticeably, also, there aren't enough people jaywalking to accidentally hit a minifig character if that was supposed to be a main element to the open world. Yeah, it just feels like a total glitch that there's an extra ring that pops up and that nobody fixed. That is kind of crazy. It would have been almost certainly very easy to fix it. And that's not the kind of glitch you can just ignore and say, oh well, people won't be confused. Clearly I am confused.
I deserve the one true speaks.
And that unlocks the Batmobile, kind of late in the game. We were looking for the potent plant's final thing, and here they pump some sort of toxin onto the roof of Bellerive to keep the inmates chirpy during yard time. That mentions the roof of Bellerive, that mentions yard time. That tells me that the plant should be somewhere up here. But we flew all over the place looking for it and could not find any plants. And so I'm gonna try and fly around a little bit, but I also suspect it might be wise to just check out the Ace Chemical plant and follow the pipes back to the original source. Why you would be that cryptic though and mention Bellerive and not say Ace Chemical is pumping some kind of toxin into the swamp. I don't know. We also have learned since the last time I was here that you do have to be fairly close to have things spawn in, so it is possible that because I was flying around instead of walking around, I just missed it because it didn't spawn in. Just try and look around as much as possible. Try and break as much as possible. Oh, never considered that. There's vents, and in each of these vents there's a direct connection to the other side. And that's exactly where it is. Pretty much nobody would find that.
Shoot it, shoot it. Magical properties.
There's no way somebody would have found that. That only makes sense to put that there if you had a race that actually pushed you in that direction and had you run through that area before. But I guess that may inform the last other thing to do, which would be runaway roundup. And we apparently have something way in that direction that we can't reach, which it's all the way in Smallville that triangle is pointing to. Almost done. Yeah, we need to go all the way and do this quest in Arkham, which we probably should have just fast traveled for. And no, come to think of it, can we even fast travel to Smallville? We can fast travel to the Watchtower and then fly around to get to Smallville. It is still possible, though, that we do this one last quest in Smallville, and then it unlocks several other things to do. And I would say I generally like this idea of Smallville and a small town idea in a Lego game, but I could also have seen a great argument to leave it on the cutting room floor. This level design and world design is ideally what I think Gotham should have been. 2-story buildings at most, and being stuck on the ground and not being able to fly. So there could have been acrobatic races around all of these buildings back and forth. Could have easily had like a race here to run to the end of this way, and then a race here to run to the other way. And I could have seen it even been 4 races where you had one on each side and you take a slightly different path. I could see a race from like the bottom of this building all the way to the top, and those could be very short races too, a minute tops. But even in that case, you would have had to have 2 or 3 times as much challenges and things to find and things to do in this city, Smallville. Like, we really just ran through this whole area and didn't do much of anything.
Oh, my friends. Where have you gone off to? The name's Psycho Pirate, and I'm afraid you have to excuse me for the
I think he's another Flash character.
My friends were feeling a little beside themselves and escaped. I mean, gone for a walk. It would be wonderful if someone could conduct a search to bring them back. I'd do it myself, but I want to make sure I'm here for them. Should they choose to return on their own? What about you?
Now what's funny is you press A to dismiss, but it just dismisses the text, and then you are given the option to...
And don't pay attention to anything my friends have to say.
By having a smaller city, also it makes a lot more sense that there aren't as many cars. It's kind of sparse as far as the number of cars in Gotham and Metropolis.
I just followed the others and got lost. Please, take me back if you know where he is.
So she's just running backwards. I'd assume Psycho Pirate probably brainwashes people, drives them crazy. Interesting you have a non-Lego dumpster when we've seen Lego dumpsters. Why would you ever even animate a 3D model of a non-Lego dumpster? Like that really highlights that there was no master list of 3D items and to model and create. And just different people.
Oh no! He sent you.
Where'd the guy go?
I will come back.
And we won't even know the whole story about Psycho Pirate until after we return all these victims, I assume.
So lonely on my own out here. You'll take me back to him? Thank you.
It's weird you have all these jumps and there's not even a challenge to do all the jumps. And most of the race, it seems like the race used almost all the jumps in the game, but they are kind of sparse.
You're working with him? I'll come back just to give him a piece of my mind.
My friend, you're all here. Good. You're all back together where you should be. With me. Now, please prepare yourselves for the activities we had originally arranged before you wandered off. While my friends were gone, I experienced so many powerful emotions. Angry at myself for losing them. Scared of what might happen. And sad that I might not see them again.
So does Psycho Pirate like inflict emotions into other people so he doesn't feel it himself?
Oh, my friend, have filled me with happiness now. For that, I am most grateful. Regardless of how you may be feeling, you may call upon me to assist you in future.
Cutie. Perhaps this has hidden magical properties.
It does make an interesting point that Pixar movie, Inside Out, about the pre-teenage girl that had emotions inside of her, and you followed the personifications of emotions. That was an interesting way to look at things, and I could see how you could take that kind of concept and make a longer running comic around it, or a story of some sort. Known alias as Roger Hayden. As a small-time criminal, Roger Hayden shared a jail cell with Charles Halstead, the original Psycho Pirate. After learning about his emotional controlling Medusa masks, Hayden gained their powers by combining them together and became the new, emotionally unbalanced Psycho Pirate. Character debut was All-Star Comics 23 in 1945, with the current version being in Showcase 56 in 1965. So if you got a new version of Psycho Pirate in 1965, that really goes to point out that there's just a lot of rust, for lack of a better term, that came around the DC universe even in the 60s. Who was I gonna look at otherwise? Black Canary? I don't even think I'll be able to find her. There she is. Abandoned by her mother at a young age, Diana Drake was raised as by local martial arts teacher Desmond Lamar. After developing her advanced fighting skills and discovering her canary cry metahuman ability, Dee Dee founded the Birds of Prey and often fights alongside the Justice League. First appearance was Flash Comics number 86 in 1947. Did that unlock anything? Actually, I guess it's probably better not to even check. It's probably easier to just fast travel over here, fly, the fly character, and we're looking for the last escaped person while we go down this road, and we want to stay close to the road in case it didn't spawn in. We're looking for this. Looking for somebody who is hiding inside of a tree trunk or something like that. But not that one. Obviously. And the general idea is once we've done that, we'll know if we've done 100% on everything just by looking at this, and then we'll do a quick glance over the map just to see if there's something else. So, have we taken all of the candy from the baby? Well, that would be under minor misdemeanors or modest misdemeanors. I think. Seems like stealing the candy from the baby in any location counted as a modest misdemeanor. And so there are just multiple locations where you could have stolen the candy from the baby. The problem with runaway roundup though is, wait, Reynolds was in here for trying to prove ghosts are real. They are real. We drive past that super haunted place every day. So, super haunted could be the tower. Super haunted could be this section with the graveyard, which leads to remember, we have the brightness turned up and it's still really hard to see. Super haunted could be this haunted house. Somebody would have to be hiding around here. It just seems like it's fairly unlikely you're going to be able to hear somebody hiding, if they are hiding. Is there supposed to be something around the phrase super? Or is there supposed to be some Easter egg reference to something in DC that I'm just not getting.
Always showing off his done. Who he think is.
Let's do this quest. Bizarro Superman.
Always showing off his done. Who he think is.
Just get close to him so we can hit the B button without bumping him.
Hey, me, I'm Bizarro. Me opposite Superman. It's not easy hero on Atlantis.
I don't understand all this different colored text.
Bizarro, go inside. Be like hero. You help Bizarro be worse friend? You not find sunscreen. Make me unhappy? It's that sun hurt me. Me go trip to Smallville. You not help Bizarro. Hooray! Bizarro, I'm grateful for help. Find sunscreen. Last place to ever look. Out of space. Lex, my Harley's bathroom. Canada. Last one, maybe not.
So it's telling me, in case we weren't following that, we have to go here, 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 and nothing over here. So at least I'm not doing the whole map, just most of the map. I guess going through this tunnel might be helpful in case that runaway roundup character is in the tunnel. I'll just keep an eye out. I really just don't believe, though, that the runaway roundup would be this far away from Arkham. We may very well just have to do a grid search up and down all of the Arkham level. See if we can speed up this whole area. So we have to get all 10 pieces of sunscreen, too. Okay. So you would basically be an absolute fool to not use a flying character in this instance. And there's another character we could have found in case we missed it. So this feels like this is the last mission where they've specifically put 10 collectibles to find next to potentially 10 of the more difficult things. And we've never went in here.
Use an all-natural mix developed by chemicals. Nothing healthy like an iridescent orange glow.
So this is a whole store that we never went in. We're gonna have to get in the back cave. Is it worth it to even try to get in the back cave that way, or is it just easier to get in the back cave the other way? Oh, well, it's actually on the beach. I guess if I double tap A, I'm supposedly flying faster, but I question if I really am. Maybe a little bit, but also kind of hard to slow down at that point.
Enjoy 10% discount. Courtesy of Lexmark. Your one-stop shop for everything. And we do mean everything.
So apparently that's Lexmart. There's no sign or anything to tell you that that's Lexmart. So this definitely is taking me to places that I very likely would have not found. Although, it feels like it's only taking you to places where there might have been one extra gold brick or one extra character to unlock, not places where another quest might have started. Because it feels like this quest, this Bazaar quest in particular, is the last one to unlock, or one of the last ones to unlock. It's not the absolute last one. You still run into a real problem in that if you were to do this quest very fast, you probably would run past a lot of the things it's trying to show you. At the very minimal, this will take you to each of the locations except for the swamp. But that's about as much as it can guarantee.
Good morning, stranger. For anything in particular? You're just in time for our big winter blowout.
We'll just fly back. We could potentially fast travel, but I don't want to risk messing up this quest. And so that by far would have been the furthest distance that we've ever had to fly for a quest. You could probably find a very far corner of Smallville and a very far corner of Arkham Asylum to get a little bit further. Still getting the static buzzing every couple of seconds, playing as Black Bolt.
Not just up here. Hooray! Bizarro find no time to drink lotion. Protect against sun rays. What could go right? Bizarro now road trip to Smallville. But first, zero plan to reward worst friend.
Shoot it. But this hidden magical
And there you see him throwing all the sunscreens to him, but you can't even see that because they're unlocking another character. See, Bizarro probably shows up in Action Comics, if I was to guess, somewhere below 100. Superboy number 68, 1958. An imperfect clone of Superman created by Lex Luthor in order to defeat this Man of Steel. Bizarro has the same abilities as Superman, but his logic is twisted into being the opposite of normal. He also has inversions of Superman's powers, such as ice vision instead of heat vision. That's an interesting origin story for Bizarro, because there definitely are other origin stories for Bizarro where he's from a Bizarro world, a different one of the 52 universes, and Superboy at some point is also a clone of Superman. So it's that story and that concept. It feels like it's getting recycled. Right. So it says we've done everything 100%, but we know that's not the case because we have this challenge that is looking for Reynolds, and the rest of these I am fairly certain are going to be completed on Apocalypse. Apocalypse is not that big of a area. And let's see, maybe I'm supposed to go where this section is here. But yeah, we may just have to go up and down, but let's go left and right and try to do a bit of a grid looking for Reynolds. That's going to be hard, of course, because I'm not going to be able to see him. And it's going to be hard to see which direction you're going. Trying to stay on the ground. When we get to an area, we should investigate it thoroughly. Super haunted place is what they said. I would think this graveyard would be the super haunted place. It's right next to the road, perhaps a side road. There is also the problem, though, where we have these races and stolen cars. Like there was one here last time I saw that probably would just take you to a different area and not reward you in any other way, so I don't know if you actually need to do it. It does seem to me like they aren't going to unlock anything more, which that makes sense. And it's kind of funny the Botanical Gardens is lit up when you can't go in there. Like very noticeably, you would have had, if more work was put in this, you would have gone into the inside of the lighthouse, inside the Botanical Gardens, inside some more of the Gotham buildings, inside more of the Metropolis buildings. I wonder if there's a height situation here where the guy is hiding in a tree or something, or at the top of a tree. Kind of only so much you can do. I do see a guy over here. Seeing somebody walk around. Does that mean something? You just have a wall of fog down here and an invisible wall. And the saving, when the game saves, I don't think that indicates anything other than you've just potentially moved far enough that the game feels like it needs to save. And I guess the question is, should I do little circles or should I do grid patterns? Like if I could maintain a straight line, I would do a grid pattern. But mostly I think a circle is a better way to go. Is it possible? I'm not gonna fall down a chimney into an area. That would be cool if you did. So yeah, is it possible that somebody is up here at the top and I'm just missing them? Or that somebody is somewhere else. You know what? We should check in here. We've been down here a couple times, but this could be a different instance. Or there could be somebody hiding somewhere. I wouldn't have checked. First thing we do would be to smash everything. Could there be somebody hiding in this room? Doesn't feel very reasonable that they could. And obviously there's something I'm missing here because this is way more difficult than any of the other hidden characters. I just randomly ran into all the other hidden characters on the map. Check them out again. Let's see, search kind of this area. Let's see. Maybe it was supposed to be in this cave. There was an invisible wall here stopping me from getting in this cave last time I tried to search this. Well, I feel like I found somebody else in this area, close enough that it wouldn't quite make sense that there would be two. This is a race we already did. And it doesn't seem like it's even willing to offer another stud reward or anything. We haven't got a cell phone notification in quite a long time. Well, I know with the Banshee quest, we ended up with a cursed book. Maybe we should try and find that location. Or in general, maybe we should just look further away. Again, I'd have a hard time believing it was this cave. So maybe this haunted forest, Arkham Forest, is where he's hiding. It would make some sense since this isn't a place we've really visited that much. Though it really does just seem like he should be there. And it may just be that the game is totally glitched. I've loaded the game and unloaded the game multiple times, however, so if it is totally glitched, I don't think there's a way to fix it and unglitch it. It's very easy to say the game is glitched and just make that assumption, and very difficult, if not impossible, to prove it. The easiest thing, though, to do, and I think the smart thing to do at this point would be to look up the answer online. Because we've been everywhere. If he is just weirdly in the middle of the forest somewhere. Okay. Runaway round up Reynolds. Let's see. I am just going to look it up online. Let's see. Reynolds runaway round up. Let's see if that's good enough to find it. Seems like it is. With pictures. According to the online, alright, let's just drop down here and walk. He's supposed to be in here, which makes all the sense in the world. Like, right here. Or maybe right here. He's supposed to just be standing. The guide's not very helpful. Frankly, it just shows me a picture. Or right here.
Goodbye, friends of Bizarro.
And there he is. How many times have we been through here and missed this? That is crazy how inaccurate even the guide was as far as being unhelpful. Alright. Power plant has a secret path underneath Bossman's head. Seems pretty pointless. Yeah, I'm thinking all of these are definitely an apocalypse. And then file finder, we have like a few more characters that I think are all in apocalypse. Yeah, so I just think everything is an apocalypse. We're 100% here. When we look at the characters though, there's still enough characters to unlock that it's gonna feel a little weird to unlock that many characters in Apocalypse. I feel like Apocalypse would be a lot bigger of a level than it actually is, but it seems like maybe it's just crammed with unlockables. But also, I guess a lot of characters are going to be unlocked doing the story mode stuff. We have 238 characters of 270, and we have 154 of 224 gold bricks, and one more statue to do. That overall puts us at 78.1% and 5 billion studs. We can see the studs and the spinning has once again just slowed to a crawl. And like, it's very inconsistent too. But that doesn't really affect the main game. They fixed the bugs on the main game. This map layer to see this is pointless. Clearly, this was going to be something bigger, where you would have a door to fast travel to the watchtower, and then the watchtower might even lead you to other places, other planets. The concept of Lego DC Superheroes 2 was around that idea, but they made big circular globes, spheres, to run around. And big is a relative term there, I'd say also. The thing to do is to figure out how to get to Apocalypse. Just fast travel to Striker's Island. It's probably the best way to do that, because we don't want to exit and load out back on Earth just to get to a load sequence to Apocalypse. This flying section definitely should have more to it than just flying around to hide the fact that you're loading. And I imagine the loading would be a lot slower if I didn't have a decent computer. Right. So we can see it's not really that much square footage, but it is fairly cram-packed with things to do. And we have 4 challenges to do, so it's very possible it'll take another 2 episodes to get everything done. But we made a decent amount of progress today. And then once we have everything done, we will still have to do the free play modes, which hopefully we can kind of rush through them, but we probably won't be able to rush through them as much as I would hope. So we're still probably about 10 hours or more away from finishing this game. And it gets a little grindy, and it gets a little pointless to get studs at this point since there's nothing to purchase. It feels like it would be nice if you had something you could dump studs into, even if it was, I don't know, even like a slot machine or a gacha machine to unlock characters. But that would be too gambly for a Lego game, and I'm kind of glad they don't have something like that. Maybe just putting more studs towards building a giant Lego stud mosaic might be an interesting idea that costs, say, 5 to 10 billion studs overall. Or the more studs you put into it, the better the resolution gets. And so you would have like a kind of Lego-fied blurry mosaic at a low resolution, and the more studs you put on it, resolutions up higher and higher and higher. Of course, the game would almost certainly crash at a certain point with a really high resolution image. That would lean more into the Lego mosaics, although in all fairness, Lego pretty much abandoned the idea of Lego mosaics and never sold them to kids anyways because they were way too expensive. They sold a line called Lego Dots, but they've pretty much abandoned that. Well, they have abandoned Lego Dots as a series too, because it was, even that was too expensive for what it was selling. Anyways, that's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. There's a bunch of social media and support links down below in the description box also. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.